Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with our Wednesday Wisdom guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, every single one of these sponsors is a company that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So please stay with us. Listen for the next 3 minutes. Going to do some shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success, and so will you. Go to Snap Raise. You can check out all their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the official information platform for the Florida High School Athletic Association, the CIF, and other states. But it's something you can use at your school for scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is the gold standard. Go to homecampus.com for more information. That's it, homecampus.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You put one of these in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about sponsors and alumni? Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. But there's a lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables, and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. And don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team help you become a social media marketing guru. Whether it's a simple post to celebrate a big win or an entire newsletter that showcases all the great things that your program's doing in the community, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes things like, of course, digital ticketing, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a whole lot more. Whether you're an athletic director, a school principal, a head coach, Hometown makes it easy for you and your organization to save time, raise more money, and bring your entire community together. For more information, just go to hometown.com. That's hometown.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your coaches, your student athletes, your parents, you're really missing out on a great opportunity. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that allows you to mine all of that data, usually very positive, that's so helpful when you're talking with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. And don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're welcoming a new member to the Wednesday Wisdom team. Regular listeners and readers should recognize this name, Sarah Chapman. Sarah was on the podcast a while back. She was also a contributor to our book, Small School AD. She was chapter 29. So if you haven't picked up Small School AD, it's available on Amazon. But Sarah's the athletic director for the Hiawatha School District. That's in Kirkland, Illinois. Has a really cool background in athletics, and we're excited to have her on Wednesday Wisdom. Sarah, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Jake. I'm so happy that you asked me to come back.
Well, it's you and I were talking. It's the end of the school year. People are wrapping up inventory and awards programs, final exams, that sort of thing. So, Sarah, what do you have for our listeners on your first Wednesday Wisdom segment?
So, my first Wednesday wisdom here, I kind of wanted to share a little bit about something that I used in my coaching days before I became an athletic director, and something now that I try to instill with my coaches here at Hiawatha. And I call them the three C's to a good culture. Many schools struggle with good cultures, positive cultures, trying to get rid of that negative energy. So I kind of have these three C's, I call them, that kind of help guide people to having good cultures. So my first C that I feel like is probably one of the biggest ones is connection. Just like in the classrooms, right? Teachers, in order to get students to really buy in and do the work and, be along for the ride, so to speak, and at the educational setting, our coaches have to make that connection too with our kids. And it's not just, the basic connections, right? It's just the overall general relationships. We have to understand that our students are humans first, right? Like, I tell them all the time and they get really annoyed with me, but I say, you're student athletes, right? You're always a student first, and then you're an athlete when it comes to grades and things like that. But something else on top of that, right, is they're humans first. We have to make sure that their basic human needs are met. And part of those basic human needs is that connection piece, being able to have a good relationship with their coaches. Kind of helps propel that positive culture, right? If you yeah, if you don't get along with a coach, or your coach doesn't really care about you as a person, you're not willing to put in the work to make that program better. Um, and even extending outside of just the athletes themselves. Here at Hiawatha, we're in a unique situation where we're a very small community. Our kids play multiple sports. And our families they want to be involved. So extending that connection piece past the students to kind of engaging those families as well. Like, I know one way that we do it here, our football parents, football moms, they call them the football moms, they sponsor team dinners on Thursday nights. So we kind of have one team lead who organizes everything, but then parents can either donate money or they can bring food. And it's a place where all the families can come, they can have dinner, they can sit with the coaches, they can chat with sit with the kids. Just kind of breaking down that barrier of, I'm a coach, you're a parent, like we shouldn't be engaging in social conversations. But that's one of the best ways, I feel like, to build culture, right? Is to get these people to understand that as coaches, we're humans too, and that we care about their kids as humans and not just athletes of our own. So,
No, you're absolutely right. And there's a lot of different ways to engage. As a football coach myself for a long time, we didn't do the team dinners on Thursday night. we shot for, and this was at a small private school or schools because I did it at a couple different places. We called them victory dinners. And win or lose, we had that victory dinner, and we thought that that worked good for us. But again, getting that connection, as you talked about, so important in creating, however you want to call it, culture, program, success. So I just love those types of ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think and being like I said, being in a small school, it helps too. A lot of I was thinking about this morning. I have at least one coach on all of my staff that are in the building. So that helps too, right? The kids, they can talk, connect with them during the school day, not just after school too. Um, so after connection, my second C is consistency, right? So consistency can mean a bunch of different things. Um, my first bullet point here under consistency that I have is day to day, right? How I show up as a coach matters to those kids every day, right? They can tell if I'm having an off day or if something's bothering me. I have to be consistent in my delivery for those kids day to day. That way they know that they're getting something reliable when they come to practice, right? They could have had a terrible morning at home. They could have had a terrible evening the night before. But they know, right? I'm going to go to practice that next day and I'm going to see coach and I know what I'm going to get. I know what, how she's going to talk to me. I know how she's going to, engage with me. There's going to be no questions. Um, and then kind of taking next step from day to day is player to player, right? Players pick up on that too. So however I am engaging with one kid, I need to make sure I'm engaging with the other athletes as well. Um, because, little Johnny can pick up. Well, coach doesn't spend as much time with me as, they do with, so and so. And again, to making sure everybody feels like they're a part of the program, whatever their role may be, we need to make sure that we are consistent between player to player. No one's held on a higher pedestal than anybody else. And then my last bullet point that I have under consistency is year to year. So something that I've been trying really hard to work on in my 2 years that I've been here is finding coaches that are willing to invest in programs. Um, when I think I mentioned this on the last time that I was on the podcast, I'm the first athletic director that has been here 2 years in a row in the last like 5 years. They've turned over athletic directors every year. And even like at the end of my first year, I had kids being like, okay, well, where are you going next year? No, I'm not going anywhere. Right. You guys are stuck with me. We're gonna make this thing work. Um, and so my biggest challenge and goal, and I feel like I've done a pretty decent job, is finding coaches that are going to be consistent from year to year, right? You can't build a program when you're turning over coaches on a yearly basis. So making sure that the kids have the expectation on right day to day. This is what I'm going to get every time I go to practice. Um, Player to player, I know that I'm going to be treated just like everybody else is going to be treated. And then year to year, right? If I'm going to decide, okay, between my sophomore and my junior year, like I'm going to continue to play basketball. I know over the summer, these are the expectations that coach is going to have for me. I know during the school year, these are the expectations that coach is going to have for me because the coaching staff is going to remain the same. So having those expectations in place and kind of those routines and those, I don't want to say rituals, but all of those things in place for those kids can help them be successful in their programs.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that sometimes younger coaches, younger EDs have a hard time developing, that consistency. So, the kids know what to expect as an AD, so the coaches, even the parents know what to expect. Just so important. Okay. What what's your third C?
All right. So my third C is celebrate. So these kids, that's what they are. They're kids. So we need to make sure that while we're still doing the ins and outs of everyday practice, games, things like that, we have to take time to celebrate these kids. The little things, the big things, the silly things, right? Like we have to show them that they, again, it goes along with they matter, right? So whether it's a birthday, whether they got a good grade on a math test, whether it's you know something silly like Johnny remembered his shoes today, right? It's just little things like that. We have to celebrate these kids. Something that I tried really hard. I tell these kids, um, as their athletic director, right? I am their number one fan. I have to be their number one fan. I have to show them that I believe in them, no matter what the scoreboard says. And this past year, our basketball team, our programs, again, we're very small. Our programs haven't seen a lot of success. But we're making progress moving forward. And this year, our boys basketball team notched 10 wins. It's been over, I think, since 2003, since they've had a double-digit win season. Um, and so, like, we made a huge deal out of it, right? Because it matters to those kids that they're making this much progress. And for them to get excited because we're excited and we're celebrating those things, it makes them want to work that much harder, right? They only ended up with 10 wins this last season, but like they just started doing some summer league stuff. And coach said, I talked to him last night after their games, and he said, you would have never known that these kids were only a 10-win season. He says they came out yesterday. They were so excited to get back on the basketball court because of all the success that they had, success in our terms, right? They had so much success last year, right? Like they came out and I think they won their first game by like 25 points last night. So, um, showing these kids that you're willing to celebrate, again, the bigs, the littles, even the silly things, in their day-to-day lives. It makes them that much more comfortable in your program and, willing to make mistakes, willing to, kind of be silly while still having the consistency and the routines and things like that to, make forward progress.
Again, just such a key point. 100 years ago, when I was in high school, uh, I think there were degrees of celebration, but back then, I mean, sports had such a bigger impact because there weren't all the other activities. In fact, sports, we didn't have soccer, we didn't have lacrosse. It was those old school sports back in the 70s. And so kids really didn't have a choice. Now they have so many more choices between sports and non-athletic activities, and that's a good thing. But it just underscores what you just said. We have to make these kids see that, hey, this is a big deal and that we're excited. We want to celebrate their accomplishments. And that school that I told you about, where we did the victory dinners, we did them because we knew we weren't going to win that much. It was a startup school. And when you win that first game, hey, it's like winning the Super Bowl. And then, now you have a next is that have trying to have a winning season. Just all those little stair steps that within your program you're going to celebrate. The last school I was at before I retired, just a tremendously successful school. They were successful before I got there. I managed not to drive it off the rails. They're still very successful, but we had a number of sports where we didn't even order the district championship trophy because we knew our teams were going to win, and we wanted state championship trophies and state runner-up trophies in our trophy case. That's just where we were. Yeah, we celebrated the wins and we celebrated the kids, but you got to find what's meaningful for your kids in that moment, and it may change over time.
Absolutely. And I think, um, something that I've done too here at Hiawatha in regards to celebrations is they didn't have really like a social media account or anything like that. So I know that you're a Gipper is a sponsor of yours, and I love using Gipper. Um, that was one of the things that I brought on to Hiawatha when I came, and the kids seeing their pictures on social media, right? Like that's huge for them. They love to share it to their own pages. As much as we don't like to encourage them to use their phones and be on social media at school, but I've started doing like media day type things with the kids on picture days where they're taking all those silly pictures to be featured on our social medias. Um, and I have kids that, just even seeing themselves on like the game day posts, or if they have, a good game, celebrating them on social medias that way. Um, some of those kids thrive off of that and, really try to you know, make an impact in the next game so then they can have their names and stats featured on the social media.
Yeah, and again, it's such a simple thing to do. It's so easy. And thanks for giving Gipper a shout out. But you're absolutely right. That's where kids are today. It's not, I still remember, and who knows, I might have been this guy, prior to Gipper coming out. Oh, these kids today, but that's where they're at, and it doesn't cost you anything as an AD, and it promotes your program as you're promoting those kids. So again, great, great example. Sarah, thanks again for coming back. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more about how you do things at Hiawatha for your student athletes, or just add you to their network, what's the best way our listeners can connect with Sarah Chapman?
I would say the best way to contact me would be via email. My school email is Sarah, Sarah, dot Chapman, Chapman, at d426.org.
Okay, and that's the Hiawatha School District in Kirkland, Illinois. Well,
Yes.
Sarah, great to connect with you. Hope you have a wonderful summer, so a well-deserved break. And definitely looking forward to you coming down to Tampa in December, my state, for the national conference this year.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
All right. For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you for tuning in and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every segment to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every week, just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So hopefully you'll join us again on the next segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. And don't forget to go out and get your copy of Small School AD featuring Sarah Chapman in Chapter 29. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Before we go, as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, which include Home Campus, Ohio University and their online masters, Hometown. We want to thank Sideline Interactive and Gipper. I want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and Snap Rays. I want to say thank you to Huddle and to Athletic Surveys. Every single one of these sponsors are great companies. If you're not already using them, I really encourage you to check them out. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.